I wanted you to just start, but I wanted to say hi. I
Hi.
haven't seen that face in a while. Yes, you guys, this is Don Menge. Is it pronounced Minge or Menge?
Minge.
Don Minge. Listen, she is from Wrightwood, California, a very, very small city in Southern California, but it is one of the most beautiful places that I've gone, literally. And so, Don, what you're doing with the children is unfathomable. It's really commendable. And so, I know you're going to talk about the books and your story, but please, toward the end, if you can just talk about the project that you have going on with the little bitty babies, with the children, that would be amazing, because that totally is your passion. It is your heart. And with that being said, Don, back over to you.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so as Dr. Tina mentioned, I grew up in a very small mountain community. We got to ski for our exercise, our PE classes. And so coming from a small town, you don't really have a lot of adversity. Everybody knows everybody, so there's no secrets. But I did have some things, as in the other speakers before me. When I was 16, I was in a car accident. We hit a drunk driver, and I spent my junior year in high school in a body cast. And so I had to learn to walk again with my leg and to be strong. I was actually told I wouldn't be able to have children, and I have 3 children who are grown, and I have 6 grandchildren. So when they became 18, I was having a hard time in our marriage, and we got divorced. It was very turbulent and aggressive. And at that point, I was a teacher. I teach students with severe, moderate to severe disabilities. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? My children are grown. I had 1 grandchild at that time. And so what do I do next in my life? So what I did was I had written a book, getting my credential. That was one of our assignments in our math class. And I had to write a game too. So when I decided to publish, I named it after my grandmother. And everyone in the book is someone in my family. I have my children and my nieces and my nephews in here. And when I started, this was all I was going to do. I was just going to publish it, and I was done. I didn't think about promoting it or doing book signings or anything. And as soon as I did, I won first place in the Evie Awards. And I started getting interviews, and people were saying, well, what are you going to do next? And I wasn't doing anything next. This is what I was doing. So we decided that since I love to travel, I got this from my grandmother. She was a founder of a credit union. She went door to door and got subscribers for their credit union, her and her father, and she built the United Methodist Federal Credit Union. And so I have a very strong family background, and we love to travel. She was a world traveler, and so I decided to expand the series with my traveling, with my friends, my family, and my students. So my books teach about disabilities, and part of it, the repetition, it's great for ESL. So because of the repetition, it's easy to learn English. I have a friend who uses it for immigrants, and this man came from South Africa. He was born in the savannah, and he lives in Washington now, and he has a family, and he learned how to count by counting the people at the table on this Thanksgiving table. And this is actually my daughter, but he learned how to count reading my book, and now his 6-year-old daughter is learning to read, and she's teaching her grandmother to read by using my books. So they have expanded everywhere, and that is not what I planned. And that's what we're going to talk about during my talk is you have to be flexible, and you start with a plan, but you have to realize your plan is going to go this way and it's going to go that way, and you're going to find experiences that you never thought you would have. I never thought I would be talking to anyone in Nigeria about my books, but here I am. So you have to say yes to experiences and opportunities. And even if you're afraid to do it, go do it. Nothing's going to happen to you. You might mess up a little bit, but you know what? That's part of life. And we all understand that. And we all have to get past our diversity in our lives and go positive. But we have to figure out, what are we going to use to do that? So you have to take your passions. I'm an educator, so I started writing educational books. And that is what I did. Instead of worrying about my divorce and what I was losing and the violence that was going on, I started concentrating on my adventures and planning what am I going to do next? And it kind of kept me going. And someone had mentioned the anthologies, and that is something that I did. I wrote a chapter in this one, A Mother's Prayer, about my 3 daughters. I have 2 daughters and a daughter-in-law. And this became an international bestseller. And so now I'm an international bestseller. And I never thought I would do that. This is the first one I tried. I talked about my car accident in this one and how I got over it. You're 16 years old and you're spending your junior year in high school in a body cast at home. That is not fun. But I was able to do it. I was able to walk again and have children, which I love and adore very much. And this one I wrote, this was during the pandemic. And this publisher is from Ireland. And she wanted us to write a chapter on how did we get over the pandemic. And so I wrote my chapter. So now I'm an internationally published author. And I talked about what we did during the pandemic. And a lot of it is we went camping as a family. We go as a unit, 16 of us. And I talked about how we did that. And they, of course, are going to become adventures in Queen Vernita's Adventures. And this one, I have a friend that I grew up with. He lives in Kona, Hawaii. So I went there a lot when I was getting divorced. I just go and lay on their couch and just kind of rest and explore. So I actually wrote 2 books on Hawaii. But what I added was disabilities. This little girl, she has Rett syndrome. It's a form of autism. And she can't hardly move her arms or her legs. And this is her mother. So the illustrations I have come from actual people, actual pictures from our adventures. And she talks about how she is making lei wreaths for all of her classmates. So as a child is reading the book, they're learning about disabilities, but what they're learning is the children with disabilities are living their lives. They have friends and they're trying to do things and they just need a little bit of help. But it's not having a disability kind of like this is all the book is about. The book is about what they're doing in their lives and their friends. This one, Connor, he was one of my students. He has autism and he uses a communication device to talk. So this is about him teaching the Queen about his communication device, but they're at the Volcanic National Park. So they're learning all about volcanoes and he's explaining to her how he uses a communication device and what he uses it for. So if a child's reading this book, they're learning English, they're learning adventure, they're learning about volcanoes and sharks. They're also learning about disabilities. And so if they see another child on campus who's using a communication device, which is an iPad or a phone to communicate, they're going to know what it's for. They're not going to say, well, why does that child get to have a game? Why are they walking around with their iPad or their phones? They're not. They're using it to communicate with other people. And then you can address that and talk to this child and find out all about them. So it's not quite as scary because it is. It's kind of scary not knowing what to say or, what to do. But my passions are my traveling and my family and my friends. And because I'm an educator, it's educating. So I have developed my series. The series has won 90 international literary awards. I do a lot of work with a magazine called Story Monster Magazine. I write book reviews and I do a lot of events with them. I went to Italy recently to an author retreat and met an author there. And she introduced me to the Global Women Speakers, which I am now part of. So when I was kind of feeling down and making this very hard, I joined some organizations. I joined the SBCWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and it's international. And I went to a conference. And I was feeling very discouraged, like, why am I doing this? It's a lot of work. So remember that it is a lot of work. And Kwame Alexander was speaking and he has a speech called Yes. And if you ever need some inspiration, watch it. It's on YouTube. But he said to say yes to things that come up and give it a try. And he talked about how he was self-published, how he was going to give up. And his wife told him, you need to get a real job. And now he's won several awards and he writes all over the world. He now has a TV program about authors. So you just never know where your path is going to take you, but you have to take that step. You have to move forward. And the way to do that is to find the passion within your life. A lot of people want to write, but they think, I have nothing to write about. No one wants to hear my story. Yes, they do. And you have lots and lots of things to write about. You just have to do it. And it's hard. You have to be brave. You have to get out there. You have to get your voice out there. You have to know what you want to say to people. What do you want to change? And you're going to connect with one person. If it's only one person, then you've done something wonderful. If you've helped that one person and they can say, oh, well, she's been through a hard divorce. She's been had some medical problems. And here she is. And she's sharing her story. She's traveling all over the world. And she's using her life as her inspiration to do this. And there's so much going on. I have books that I could write for the rest of my life and I would never be done. But right now I have this one. This is one I want to talk about too, Dragon's Breath. So I have the Land of Quails, which is where Queen Vernita's kingdom is. And then I have this another kingdom, and it has King Teddy Bear and Queen Giggles. And this is actually based on something that happened to me. I was dating a man and he had a friend who did not want me dating him. And so she started harassing me and stalking me and vandalizing my home and really scaring me to the point where I had to sell my home. So out of that, I actually wrote this story. And when she was at my house, she said he wanted a dragon slayer and she wasn't going to let him have the dragon slayer. So I made her into the dragon. And it's a story about how they were separated because they did not know what was going on. We did not know who was doing it for a very long time. And how they built the kingdom. And we met the dragon. And so the story talks about doing things to people when you're unhappy or jealous, and how it's not okay. So it teaches children that it's not okay to hurt other people when you're jealous or you're angry. But part of this is when the children read it, they always want the dragon to be good at the end. Well, the dragon didn't really mean to do it. And, she didn't mean to hurt anybody. But I always point out this one page because we have to learn that sometimes people really do mean to hurt us. They really do, and they know what they're doing. And we don't really teach children that. So on this page, I always point out she's blowing the black smoke, and it's making the crops die. So the villagers are upset and worried. They don't know what to do. And so the king is sitting here trying to help. But the dragon's watching. The dragon knows. The dragon knows that she's hurting everyone. She's hurting the villagers. And she's going around in the daytime telling them how much she's helping them. So this is the part where we teach the children that sometimes people do want to hurt you. And so I have a new book coming out. So when the dragon leaves, the king finds out and he banishes her. And she leaves an egg. And the king and the queen find the egg. And they raise the baby dragon. And her name is Precious. And she becomes helpful to the whole kingdom. And but she's the only dragon. And she's feeling sad because she is the only dragon. So they go on a quest to find other dragons for her. And it's called Precious the Baby Dragon. And it will be out in the next month. So if you love Dragon's Breath, you'll need to really love Precious the Baby Dragon and all of the more adventures that the king and queen have. And I also have another book coming out. It's on fall. And it should be out in a month. And it's pre-K. My books are pre-K to 6th grade. So your child can grow up with the adventures. And it should be out in the next month too. And from my trip to Italy with my author friends, I am creating a book on Italy. And it will be in English and Italian. I see Dr. Tina's coming. So if you're in South Africa, and I have several books in the schools down there, I have a wonderful video of a little girl reading my Alaska book on her birthday to her classmates in Africa. And it was just like, it's my favorite video. But they're great for ESL if you want to learn English, you want to teach your children English. These are the books that you need.
Wow, not the books that you should have that she recommends. She said these are the books that you need. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So Dawn, 3 questions for you. I mean, you're in the education space, and I am a firm believer of not just staying in your pond, jumping ponds to be the unicorn and to be that anomaly. And so here today on Tech, Finance, Future, and Female, I want you to give 3 pointers on one, like how can they literally be involved in tech when it comes to books, when it comes to publishing? Like, how does it fit into the technical world?
Well, now everybody is using their iPads to read books. So
Yes.
very definitely, you can use them to. You have a better access using iPads to reading material. Some people can't get to the library. Some families
Yes.
don't have books. They don't. We don't have hardcover books to read. And if you have an iPad, you can use that and get all the books that you need. And that's just a wonderful way to reach everyone.
Yes, and what I was waiting for was for ChatGPT, OpenAI, and a plethora of others that can help, also take their different platforms for editing when it comes to publishing and just a plethora of other things. So, Don, yes, people are reading on their. Remember, we used to use only the iPod for music.
Yeah.
We used to use the iPod. We have the iPad. People are taking along their tablets as well as their
Yep.
mini Macs or their mini Hewlett Packards. That's how technology is included. So where are you reading? Are you doing tangible books? For me, I still want to touch the book. I want to
Yes.
feel the book. I want to highlight. I want to circle words that I do not know. Even
Yes.
as we speak today,
Still
Don,
old
when I
school.
find, yes, that's what you want to call it. I call it innovative learning, because here's the deal. If I run across a word that I do not know, like if it's not in my vocabulary, I circle it. Even to this day, as I read books, I never read a book without a pen and a paper, because if I find a word that I do not know, or it's a malapropism and I don't know how to use it, I will write the word down so I can learn it. Remember, if you're not growing, you are dying. And Don, you are so innovative, so creative. I mean, a whole series of books. I can't wait to see your books as a movie. Like literally, your books, your sequences, her sequels are amazing. I was fortunate that she mailed me some books, and one night it was late, and I'm like, you know what, I want to read. I want to read, and I reached over, and the book I grabbed was hers. I just got it out of the PO box, and I'm like, let me go ahead and read it. Right? It's not something that I would normally read. I don't have any small kids. I'm not around children, but I can tell you it was an interesting read. I didn't want to put it down. So Don, thank you so much for being here. You're absolutely amazing. Tell them how they can get in contact with you, Don.
I have Facebook, Dawn Menge1, Instagram, Dawn Menge. My Twitter is Queen Vernita. If the first 5 people who email me at queenvernitasvisitors@yahoo.com, I will give you a
Yes.
free PDF of Queen Vernita's Visitors, the first 5 people. And I have a website, queenvernita.net, and I'm on LinkedIn.
I love it. She's on LinkedIn. And is it Don Minge on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it. Don, thank you for being here
Thank
all the
you.
way from Wrightwood, California. Yes, isn't she gorgeous? You guys, listen, you got to read her book. If you have a kid or you're a godmother, an aunt, a mom, you got to get her books. I'm telling you, they will provoke thought, creativity, and also, I believe, in my humble opinion, that the way they're written, they're easy to maintain. So you know what happens? They can recall those things. And it's not just random things. Their creativity, they're imaginative. It allows them to explore their own world. So Don, thank you, thank you, thank you for being a premier member of Global Women Speakers. You are valued. And I love that the fact that you brought your talent and your gift to the marketplace. Bye for now. Mwah.
Bye. Thank you.